Hello and welcome to another episode of Same But Different Does Top 5. If you notice the background, this is getting us prepared for our Monday review of The Retirement Plan with Nicolas Cage, which largely takes place in the Cayman Islands. So here we are in the Cayman Islands.
Hey, warm and toasty.
Better unbutton some clothing.
No.
I don't want to do that. No.
Mm-mm.
Get out of here. The top 5 we have for you this week is top 5 action comedies. Because The Retirement Plan is an action comedy, and that was a pretty easy decision to make. So I think we should get right into it. Darik, why don't you kick us off with your 5th favorite action comedy of all time?
Coming in at number 5, it's a little bit of a way back playback for us specifically. Came in at a very particular time in our lives, and we watched it over and over and over and over. At least I did. I'm talking about Michael J. White and Black Dynamite.
Wow. Black Dynamite at number 5. I thought for sure you were going to say Kung Pao. Because way back playback, I went further back in our life.
That just wouldn't make the cut now. It would have back then for sure, but not now.
My number 5 is not quite as much of a way back playback as Darik, at least in my opinion, because it is also Black Dynamite.
No way.
Yeah, buddy. That very seldom happens, and for Black Dynamite to be the movie that happens with is pretty whack.
Number 4, it's one of 3 comic book movies on my list. Number 4 is Deadpool, the first one.
Interesting.
Hilarious, and it's definitely action, so.
Coming in at number 4 for me is one of 2 comic book movies on my list, and it is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Okay.
Love that movie very, very much, but just not as much as my top 3, I guess.
Number 3 for me, this might have been based on a comic book too, so maybe all of mine are comic book movies, except Black Dynamite. Number 3 is The Kingsman, Secret Service. Hilarious satire parody almost of the spy super secret agent genre, and it does a very good job with it. So
yeah, no, it definitely does. It didn't make my radar in terms of a comedy. It is very funny, and it's a satire parody for sure, but that's not the comedy that was going through my brain, I guess. Well, number 3 over here, you already heard these 2 syllables like 2 minutes ago, and that is Deadpool.
No way.
Usually our lists are different enough, but 2 of the same already is crazy.
Number 2, taking home silver medal on my list, is James Gunn's The Suicide Squad.
You know what? I knew that was going to be on your list, and I didn't think of it now thinking of your list. Okay.
It's a very good comic book / comedy / action movie. It's incredible. Blew me away.
Number 2 over here, Tropic Thunder.
You know how I said I made a list of all the movies that I want to put on my list? Tropic Thunder is definitely on there.
I wouldn't say it's necessarily better than a lot of the movies on my list or even the ones that didn't make my list, but I watched this movie time and time again. It's quotable. It's replayable. I love Tropic Thunder.
I took Tropic Thunder out of the running because I consider that mostly comedy. I think that's like a 75-80% comedy and 20% action. Number 1 is a movie you've heard me say before, and a movie that you definitely just said in this video, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Oh, that's your number 1.
That's my number 1 action comedy of all time. And it also made my number 1 on a different list that we made at some point. So I'm thinking that Scott Pilgrim is like my top 10 movies of all time at this point.
Number 1, I think this has been number 1 on my list before as well. The Bounty Hunter with Gerard Butler.
You're fucking lying.
For anybody who doesn't know, The Bounty Hunter is the only movie I've ever walked out of the theaters. I couldn't do it. Number 1 for real, Hot Fuzz.
Again with Hot Fuzz. I didn't know where to put it because it's mostly comedy and then the action comes in at the end. I don't know.
Yeah, it is what it is. And, sometimes the top 5, they're open for interpretation and there's no wrong answer.
Are we doing honorable mentions?
Sure, let's hit them. Hit me. Do it.
I'm going to hit them so hard. I have 2 honorable mentions. I'll just rip them both out right now.
Okay.
Number 1 on my honorable mention lists. Wow. First one on my honorable mention list is Kick-Ass. The other honorable mention I have is Bullet Train, a newer movie that just came out, and it deserves to be mentioned because it did such a good job at establishing itself in this genre. I think in time it will become a classic.
I'll also rip into mine or whatever you said then. My 2 honorable mentions are The Nice Guys, which, just want to clarify, would make my top 5 if crime wasn't between action and comedy. I feel like action is its third genre. 2, also quite recent, and just because of what it is and who it is and everything, Violent Night.
Oh, yeah, that did cross my radar. I don't know why I didn't put it on my list.
Because you suck.
Yeah.
All right, so do you like action comedies? Why don't you tell us what your top 5 are in the comments down below? Did you cut out again, or did I just get awkward? As always, if you enjoyed this top 5, please follow, like, comment, subscribe, whatever you do on whatever platform you're watching this on. It's just going to help us out in the long run, and we want to do a bunch more top 5s, because apparently we can never run out of ideas for top 5s.
Ever. It's never going to happen. We're never going to run out of ideas.
Come on back on Monday, where we'll be in the Cayman Islands again, reviewing, I can't remember this name for the retirement plan.
Looks like Brody needs to retire, am I right?
Have a good night, everybody.
Mostly.